Art Smart Shorties with Mr. Craig. Hey guys and gals, Mr. Craig here once again for an Art Smart Shorty with Mr. Craig. I'm Mr. Craig. I represent the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Green Bay, specifically the Youth Arts Initiative, yo, and we are super proud of what we've done there. But these are lessons that are designed to be quick and keep your skills up and sharpened at all times, and these are things that I think are some of the best tips for keeping you a top-notch visual artist. We're still doing our comic books, guys. We're still doing our comic pages, and you should be making those comic panels whenever you get a chance, because that's going to be a cool project if we get it done. You guys are making me nervous. But anyways, today what I want to teach you guys about are some basic forms. Yes, we've talked about line, we've talked about shape, and then we've talked about how we can actually bring some value changes from dark to light, just like this value scale right here. And we now are going to apply that to some basic shapes. For instance, we're going to start out with a cube. All right, a basic cube. And a cube is a square all the way around, but they become weird rectangles and weird shapes when we start to look at how it's broken down in space. So here is an isometric cube. And when I say isometric is because we're not applying perspective to this. We're using isometric layout, which all these lines should be the same and all these lines should be the same. You use that a lot in drafting. Now with this, we're going to think about where our light sources are coming from. All right, so if our light sources are coming from behind, our shadows are going to be in the front. That'll be weird. But we're going to kind of have our light source coming from above this a little bit. And it's going to be kind of coming almost consistently from the front, like that. So it's coming at this. And now I'm going to show you a breakdown. So we're going to use this value scale that we've completed a couple times ago, or maybe last week, I'm not sure, however we choose to use these videos. But mainly that corner right here is going to be hitting the most light. So that's going to have a 0. So most of this light is going to be up in the corner, and I'm going to make a very light reference mark here and here and here, because this corner is where the light's being hit the strongest. Next, we're going to go to our value change of 1, and I'm going to split this up now with my value scale. It's almost like I'm making a zebra box here in a sense, weird sense. And I'm going to actually make it wider. I'm going to disregard that line I just made, and I'm going to make it a little bit wider. And now to a number 2, we're going to go out a little bit more and even further. We're going to really stretch this number 2 because there's not going to be a complete change from 0 to 7 on our square. It's not going to happen. It's too small of an abject. Did I say abject? I did. It's too small of an object for there to be that much of a light change on it. If this was as big as a moon, yeah, there would be that much change of light. But because it's a small object, we're only going to be dealing with a couple light changes, and it's a flat surface. That's a big deal. Flat surfaces are going to be treated a little bit differently. So I'm going to go up here on the top, and I'm going to think about this furthest little section is my 3s. So I'm going to kind of, and you know what, I'm going to make it even lighter than that. But I'm going to shade in the direction of these lines. And now I'm going to go a little bit lighter. The next one, a little bit lighter. So you can't see where the one shade stops and the other one starts. That's a very important point. We're not making a staircase now where it's going boom, 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 where it changes like we showed right here. Boom, 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 boom. One step down into the darkness. No, now we're making a ramp, so that you don't see where one tone stops and the next one starts. It's a smooth transition of value from dark to light, okay? That's how it's going to work. And I'm going to try and find that flat spot on my pencil again, because that was working pretty good. And I'm going to build. Now I'm starting to get lighter. So sometimes when, like I started with the light and worked to the dark on my value scale, but when I'm working on real objects, I can work from the dark to the light much easier. So I'm barely touching the surface. Ooh, and I'm a ninja. Ooh, I'm a ninja with that pencil there towards the front. And so we see a light change from lightest to a middle tone. Okay, barely a middle tone, so it's still a light tone. It's from light tone to light tone, from a 0 to a 3 or a 2.5 even. On the side, I can shade coming up. We're working right now with some flat surfaces, and that's sort of tricky, but you just have to kind of be patient and really work them through. And again, keep in mind, we're not making staircases now, we're making a ramp where it goes from one tone to the next, and you shouldn't be able to tell where one stops and the next one starts. It's just a gentle gradient change. We do gradient changes with Photoshop quite a bit, gang, and I think some of you got really good at that with our comic pages and our comic illustrations. Oh my God, Mr. Craig, stop talking about the comic pages already. You're obsessed. Yes, I am. Leave me alone. So again, going in here and going from my 3 to my 2 to my 1 to my 0. Just barely letting it kind of whisper in there. And I like to, you can see that I'm turning my paper as I'm drawing. That's sort of to let my paper go, or my hand go, in a motion that works the best for it. So I'm not trying to accommodate this paper. No, this stupid paper can turn however I want it to turn. It is under my power. My power. I'm the boss of that paper. I'm the boss of you, paper. No, you're not. Yes, I am. I'm the boss of you. You're not the boss of me. My mom and dad are the boss of me. Okay, whatever. So I can kind of go through here and get some of this in there. And that's pretty close to being done. And you can see the shading changes as it goes there. But also, we want to think about something. Wherever this is happening and where this light is going, there might be a, behind us, there's going to be a shadow where this light is not being seen. And I'm going to kind of mimic some of these shapes. Let's actually imagine if this was the light source, although I have it kind of hitting this corner. I should have had it hitting this whole edge. Let's see if I can change that. Let's use the eraser to kind of pull down here a little bit to affect my tone. And it works a little bit, but now I can kind of go back in here and smooth this out just a tad bit. So it still goes from light to dark. So see, I used my eraser as a tool. Yes, I did. Very much so. And then now the top two, I'd want to use the eraser as a tool to kind of change that. And again, we know colored pencils are stubborn. Yes, I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn. So we want to make sure that we're trying to work with them gently and manipulate them so that we can get them to work for us. All right, so now my light source is definitely coming from this whole edge, and my light would actually be further back. But my shadow would still have this edge on it because it's coming from there. Okay? So it's a shadow. And let's just bring some of my shadow down the edge. But when I'm doing my shadow, I want to keep it level with the surface of whatever it is I'm drawing. So I'm kind of going straight across here. Straight across, keeping my shadow in the same perspective point or the same levelness as normal level. Think about when we're drawing water. We want to keep water level. That works with clouds. It works with shadows. It works with everything. It kind of helps to create. Now I'm going to totally break that rule. I'm going to go up and down with this, but only to smooth out my tones. So I'm going to smooth out my tones a little bit by going up and down, but you don't want to see any of my lines going up and down. It's okay to see a couple of them if they're going across. And I'm going to accentuate the edge. Accentuate the edge here. Darken the edge here. Maybe darken this edge here too. And you can kind of see sort of how this light changes on a cube. And let's actually go in here with a little bit more shadow on the edge, just to kind of finish that up. But that's a cube, and that's how you would break down a square when you're working with shading and shapes. What I want to teach you now, let me see what time it is. You know what? I think that's enough for us to learn in this one session. I'm going to save the cylinders for next. They're going to be awesome. All right, gang. My name is Mr. Craig, and you've just been part of Mr. Craig, an Art Smart Quickie with Mr. Craig, which is awesome. Not to be confused with the Art Smart Cookie. That is a little bit crumbly, and that was a crummy joke. Oh gosh, we're hopefully, sorry I got sidetracked with my own stupidity. Hopefully you guys are picking up some art tips with the things that I'm trying to share with you, and you're maintaining these practices, because that's the only way we get better, is to continue practicing and continuing getting better and better all the time. So continue to practice. Continue to do some amazing artwork and practice what only you can share with the world. I think that'd be wonderful. Until then, my name is Mr. Craig, and I represent the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Green Bay, the Youth Arts Initiative. And this has been Art Smart Shorties with Mr. Craig. See you soon, gang.